Recently, the rising prices of fuel have become a growing concern in all countries. Speaking of which, our people, Sarawakian, also face difficulties with this issue. Fuel is very important for all of us as we mostly need it for transportation, logistics, and our cost of living. However, as the prices rise, the financial strain on many individuals and families also rises. Cost of living refers to the amount of money needed to cover basic daily expenses such as food, transportation, housing, and other necessities, which can be affected when prices of essential goods increases. Let's move on to our field reporter, Ms. Karen Guning.
Thank you, Veronica. As the fuel prices continue to rise, like what our host has said, many individuals are beginning to be affected in their daily life.
Yang mahal tu sekarang. Oh, dosa pakai bas. Boleh nak kita ni. Ada harga barang semua naik. Janganlah terutama yang X. Itu susah lagi. Betul.
This situation not only affected working adults, but also students, small business owners, and families. To understand this issue in the great length, we will now look at the overall trend and its broader implications.
The fuel price increases often lead to a chain reaction in the economy. When fuel becomes more expensive, transportation and logistic costs also increase. This will contribute to the rising price of goods and services. This can also result in inflation. Inflation is a situation where the overall cost of living becomes higher and many individuals will be forced to adjust their spending habits.
To conclude, our report shows that rising food prices have significantly affected the cost of living in Sarawak.
In recent years, rising food prices have become one of the major economic issues affecting the people of Sarawak. Fuel is important in our daily lives because it is used for transportation, delivery services, and business activities. However, the continuous increase in fuel prices has created financial pressure for many households.
When fuel prices increase, transportation costs also rise. People who use private vehicle need to spend more money on petrol for daily travel to work, university, and other activities.
This issue greatly affects workers, students, and e-hailing drivers. Many people are forced to reduce other expenses because transportation costs continue to increase.
For delivery rider and small businesses owner, higher fuel prices reduce their profit because a large part of their income is spent on fuel expenses.
Businesses need transportation to transfer their services and their product. Higher transportation costs lead to higher prices in the market.
As a result, essential items such as foods, groceries, and household products become more expensive. Many families now struggle to manage their monthly expenses.
This situation contributes to the rising cost of living and affect the financial stability of many households, especially low-income families.
In conclusion, rising fuel prices have created a chain effect that impacts transportation, the prices of goods, and the daily life of the public. This issue clearly shows how economic challenges can affect society and overall well-being. To better understand the impact of rising food prices, we have interviewed members of the public and experts to gather their opinions and experiences regarding the cost of living crisis in Sarawak.
Question number 1. Okay, question number 1. How do fluctuation in food prices influence the prices of essential goods and services in Sarawak?
So in my opinion, so obviously everyone knows that the impact is basically will affect the transportation, right? So when the impact first they affect the transportation, so then next will be there is the increase of the price of goods. Yeah. So in the context of because you're asking in the context of Sarawak itself, okay. So we can look into various perspectives. Maksud madam, okay, my point here is that, okay, when we talk about how the increase of fuel price influence the price of goods, whatnot. So since that we're talking about the transportation, so you look at these two perspectives. One in the urban perspective, the second is on the rural itself, right? So in the context of Sarawak, everyone know that Sarawak, when geographical is very big, and we have, if you look at the yang rural, you look into the like for example Ulu Baram, the Belaga, yang di Kapit, yang still using the longboard for their main transporter lah, yeah, their main transport. Yeah, those yang they still need yang pakai longboard, they need to buy, they use the the petrol. Okay, same goes to those the Ulu Barang, the Ulu Belaga using the 4x4, right? So this is actually give a lot of impact lah. Okay, not only in terms of the price of goods itself, but maksud madam, if you look at the service itself, both directly give an impact on each other, right? So you can look at in these two perspectives lah. In an urban area, okay, for sure you can see that there is a increase of the price of goods, okay, even though not to say not so, if you compare in rural area, it's bigger. My honest view on the which either rural area or the urban area affected the most, I can say that the rural area may affected the most. Okay, like for example, bila diorang nak beli barang, okay, they need to go out, and the barang pun for the dealer, for those yang what call this, the dealer, right? The dealer of the goods, they need to send the goods to that area pun, they need to have it's very costly for them, very costly. So
Next question. Do you think fuel subsidies are a long-term solution to manage rising living costs?
yeah. When you talk about long-term solution, the fuel subsidies itself, for short term, yes, it will benefit all of us, right? But for the long term, it might not the best solution, right? Because it will involve the government expenditure. Okay, the next.
Moving on to question number 3. What are the factors behind the government's decision to adjust fuel prices?
Okay, so this one everyone know because of the global crisis. Okay, right? So not only in Malaysia, but the whole world is affected with these issues. Okay, right?
Question number 4. How rising of fuel prices will impact the cost of living?
Give an impact on the increase of the price of goods and also the services. Okay, right? So this is the what we call the cycle of the economy itself. Again, right? When there is the price of this, indirectly the rest will be increased.
What policy improvements would you recommend to reduce the burden of rising fuel prices on the people, particularly in Sarawak?
When you mention about particularly in Sarawak, okay, if you look at the recent news, okay, the announcements made by our premier, okay, he did mention that to one of he come out with a special announcement, okay, untuk tolong khas for this global crisis and whatnot, okay. So he come out with two announcements. Giving a discount. Sarawak state government are going to give a discount 25% on the electricity, yeah, on the bill. Yeah, I mean this one only for the domestic use, right? If I'm not mistaken, until end of this year, 2026 lah. If I'm not mistaken, you can check on the fact of that, right? And second is he announced that Sarawak state government also increased the amounts of the cards. Okay, right? So like for example, the one that I read from the news is increase from within this range of the amount lah, 75 ringgit to 150 ringgit, right? But this is actually one of the initiative of the Sarawak state government itself. Okay, right? So if you want to talk about what are the main recommendations to reduce the burden itself, I think this is the best that the Sarawak state government can do. So the other recommendation might be the government may consider to improve the public transportation itself. Yeah, so indirectly it can reduce the use of all the fuel price and can reduce the burdens of the public also lah. Okay, right.
From your perspective as a student, how do rising fuel prices affect students? As I am a non-resident student, so I didn't stay in college. So it's very burdened me a lot since I have to pay the fuel, and then most of my money goes to fuel instead of food. And I'm so grateful that nowadays we have the subsidy, Budi 95, because it's helped me a lot, especially in this economy state. That's it from me. Thank you for your time. Okay. Have a great day. Thank you. Okay. From these interviews, it is clear that rising food prices have directly affected the financial stability and daily life of many individuals.
Another recommendation that the government or other agencies should do is that they should implement a home-to-home monthly food assistance to low-income households, particularly in the rural area. The government should donate or give food like rice, cooking oil, sugar, or canned food to these people. In this way, the government can ease the burden of these people and also promote equal access to food and other basic necessities. Another one is that the people in this area will be able to allocate their extra expenses to another important sectors like education, healthcare, and also utility expenses.
Providing cost of living assistance is important to help people cope with rising prices and economic challenges. It supports individuals and families who may struggle to meet their daily needs, reducing finance stress and improving their well-being. For example, Budi 95 provides targeted financial assistance to eligible individuals to help ease the impact of higher cost living.
Improving public transport help people reduce fuel costs by using cheaper travel options instead of private vehicle. For example, better and more frequent bus services from Kota Samarahan to Kuching allow workers and students to save money on petrol and lower their cost of living.
One important recommendation is to strengthen the price control and monitoring. The government should strengthen the price control and monitoring by regularly checking the price of essential goods and taking strict action against businesses that raise price unfairly. Businesses should also display price clearly so consumers can identify unfair price increases. This helps prevent profiteering, keep price reasonable, and protect consumers, especially low-income households, and reduce the impact of rising fuel prices on the cost of living in Sarawak.
One way to deal with the high fuel prices is encourage working from home. Working from home can help people save their money on fuel and also travel costs. They don't need to drive to work every day, so their daily expenses are lower. It can also reduce the traffic on the roads.
To conclude, rising food prices and impact of cost of living in Sarawak particularly is a severe issue that needs to be handled.
I agree with you, Veronica. It's quite concerning looking at how difficult country to take care of the people, particularly in Sarawak.
Therefore, it is important for the government, businesses, and communities to work together to address this issue through effective policies, subsidies, and support programs.
By taking collective action, we can help reduce the impact of rising fuel prices and improve the well-being of the people in Sarawak. Alright, that's all from us. Thank you for the watching. Bye!
I'm the man who can't be moved. 'Cause if one day you wake up